So, so you do it every day, and I do it every day. When you ride in a car, when you get on a plane. So it makes all the difference in the world for each one of you sitting next to the person you're sitting next to. Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a marriage, whether it's when you go to work on Tuesday, and I hope you all have tomorrow off, all of you working people, so enjoy your day off. But when you go to work on Tuesday, it sure is important that you're able to have this. And you already know what it is, because you have given it to me. Daryl gave it to me, that I wouldn't screw things up while he's been gone. It's called trust. And throughout the scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament, you'll see the word trust. And it's a simple concept, but if you don't have it, then you're in trouble. That poor child whose father did that had difficulty, I'm sure, in life. When you've been burned by somebody, it's very difficult to regain trust. And yet again, in the psalm this morning, we're told to trust. As we're finishing up a discussion on mindfulness, and we're almost there, trust is another attitude. What does it mean? Well, we know from Scripture it has to do with a confidence and a belief. It's the ability to lean on someone or something. It's a feeling of being safe. In mindfulness, it's a sense of assuredness that in the wisdom of your body and your mind and your spirit, you pay attention to yourself and your ability to manage yourself. It is believing that you're enough. It's a foreign concept. So when I tell you to trust God, it doesn't mean that you don't trust yourself. And this is where the mindfulness for me has helped. When I take a deep breath and I say, okay, it's important that I'm here, that I'm present in this moment right now. I cannot tell you how many times that you, while I'm speaking, are going to go somewhere else. It's just how the mind works. I mean, if I'm just profoundly wise and you're hanging on every word, then maybe your mind won't drift to what's for lunch. If I am super animated and my voice goes up and down and I come walking down the aisle and I come in your face, it's like, well, you've got to pay attention to me now. And maybe your mind won't drift and won't wander. When I take a breath and I'm here now and I'm in this moment and I think about being non-judgmental in my life, when I think about being compassionate, when I think about being patient, as you're patient with me, as you're patient with others, when I think about trust, being able to trust myself, that what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, I allow myself to take ownership of it and do something about it. And take a deep breath and realize that it's who I am. And I manage myself. Now, for me, I must tell you, that's really foreign. Because we just read a verse that said, trust God. And I must tell you, when I was growing up, I didn't learn to trust myself. I didn't learn to love myself. Because it was all about denial. Because I'm supposed to love God, not myself. I'm supposed to trust in God, not myself. Because if I trust myself, it must mean I'm not trusting God. But you remember what Jesus said to his friends. He said, the most important commandment is what? To love God with all of your heart and your mind, and to love your neighbor, period. No, it said to love your neighbor as yourself. So I'm thinking, so you mean I am supposed to pay attention to myself? I am supposed to love myself? You really meant that, Jesus? Yes, I meant that. That it's okay to love yourself. Because if you like yourself, you're probably going to like someone else. If you love yourself, you're not going to be so darn defensive with other people because it's like, it's okay. I know who I am. I'm not threatened. So, trusting God with all of your heart and all of your mind and all of your spirit and all of who you are, yes. And trusting yourself, that's okay. So here we have yet again another psalm where a group of people, something's going on in their life, and the psalmist has to write these words. And keep in mind that oftentimes when someone speaks, they're speaking to themselves. At least that's the way it is for me. This is a wonderful reminder. So I'm talking to you about trust? No, I'm talking to myself about trust because I'm a big screw-up. And I do things that take away trust sometimes from individuals. So I'm talking to myself. And that's what the psalmist was doing. And he started off talking about, don't worry, don't fret yourself, don't be so upset about the people around you that seem to be getting away with sometimes even murder. People who are unfair. People who are so wealthy and so arrogant and so out of touch with other human beings who have less and they hoard it to themselves. The world is not fair. I want you to trust me. I want you to trust in the big scheme of things that it will work out. And so the psalmist, the words that are used several times in those short verses, he talks about trusting. He talks about waiting. He talks about believing, about hoping, about being still. And again, when I see be still for me is translated be mindful. Be still, be present. Be aware of where you are right now in this moment, what you're thinking, what you're doing. So trust. So what does it mean to trust? Do you know the name Charles Blondin? You will in a minute, because you've heard the story before. Charles Blondin was a French acrobat who became famous in, I think it was 1856, when he came to America and decided it's the land of opportunity. So I'll stretch a high wire from one end of Niagara Falls to the other end of Niagara Falls. And I'll walk across. And that's what he did. He walked across once, and he walked across twice. But he was a showman. And he knew that Americans love the unusual. So he said, okay, I'm going to put stilts on. So across Niagara Falls, 110-foot wire, 160 feet above the churning water. He's walking on stilts? Oh my goodness. And then he said, well, that's not enough. This time, people watch me go back and forth. I'm going to ask someone to get on my back. So his manager got on his back, and he walked across Niagara Falls with his manager on his back. Got to the other side, and I'm sure the manager just hyperventilated. It's not enough, though. So he walked across another time, and he stopped in the middle, and he made himself an omelet. I'm not quite sure how he did that, and he ate the omelet. What, a little Bunsen burner type thing going on? I'm not sure. But hey, a little theatrics is good. Finished that act up and decided, okay, I'm going to do something else. Let's try a wheelbarrow. So he took a wheelbarrow filled with something heavy, and he walked across with the wheelbarrow from one end to the other. And the crowd, of course, cheering for this incredible showman. And then Charles asked the crowd, do you believe that I can carry a person across in the wheelbarrow? And of course, they all said, yes, we believe. We've seen you go back and forth with a wheelbarrow filled with us. And then he said, hop in. You really believe me? Do you believe that I can take you across? Do you trust me? It's a whole nother concept. To say, well, yeah, I guess so. So when you talk about trusting God, doesn't make sense sometimes. I don't want to, because I'm so angry about something, about all these people who prosper, people who get away with things. You tell me not to worry, but it's like, but that's what I'm so good at. Don't tell me what to do. I want you to trust, is what I want you to do. But how do I do that? So, if trust means to rely upon, and the word leaning on or relying on somebody is like if you're hiking with somebody and someone sprains their ankle and they can't walk, and you are the person who helps to carry them off the trail. And they're literally leaning on you for support. So if I trust somebody, I'm going to lean on them. When you tell me that you're going to do something, when you tell me you're going to be faithful, then I trust you because I love you, because I have confidence in you that you will be true to your word. So I trust you. And you know, the world is made of broken promises. But we learn to regain trust and build back that confidence and that ability to believe again. So it's easier for me to trust myself in my mind when I first am able to trust a God who I know does not change, is the same yesterday as today in this moment and will be tomorrow. And how do I know that? Well, blind faith, you call it. Call it whatever you want. I'm just saying that it works for me, and it helps. And I read all these stories from the beginning to the end in this book, and I'm seeing one human being after another who has learned through incredible experiences and difficulties and challenges in life to somehow trust, to somehow believe, to somehow have confidence in someone else greater than themselves. And when I'm able to do that, I begin to trust myself a little bit more. So when I hear this nagging voice, when I feel something in my heart, I've got to have to pay attention to that because something's going on. And it's time for me to trust in what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And immediately in my mind, it's like, okay, the switch is flipped. Time to trust God. Time to bring in someone that you can lean on. Time to bring in a supportive cast of characters or character. Will you get in the wheelbarrow? I don't know. It'd be tough for me to get in the wheelbarrow. But isn't that what trust is? I believe in God. I believe in me. At least I'm working on that. I trust God. I trust me. I trust this process. I trust this moment. I am confident in God. And because of that confidence, I will trust in myself. So do you trust me? Do you trust that I'm going to let you out of this service at 11 o'clock? Do you trust that there's going to be pancakes on the table tomorrow if you show up? Do you trust that the sun will set? Do you trust in love when you can't feel it? Do you trust in God when God is silent? Trust me. Trust me, God says. And I will be there. And my voice says, trust me, David. So, I ask you, this week, even today, the word trust is going to come into your brain. The word trust is going to come into your heart. What does it mean for you? Where is your confidence? Where is your hope? And yet again, the voice comes. Trust me.